Hello everyone, this is Zooc, and today I'm going to be doing a little demo slash project slash experiment about or involving or referring to using animals as an inspiration and combining them to create fantastic creatures and monsters. This is by no means a new concept, as basically every single concept artist out there uses this on a day-to-day basis to do their job, which is create new and original concepts. But I figured that it was the best way to show people that are actually interested in this, because I do still, I hope, have a following that's interested in the artistic side of my channel, just to show them how I went about the process. Basically, I went with 3 animals that I picked in the first second of thinking about doing this project. And those happened to be a rhino, a frog, and a turkey. Pretty different animals, basically not a lot in common. Of course, they're probably not the best animals that you would try to combine to create something, but I went with my gut instinct on purpose just to try to make something out of this crazy combination. So I started off with no planning whatsoever, basically a blank page, no sketch, no pre-sketch, nothing like that. I just made a sketch and started drawing, and you'll see what comes out in the end. I mean, that's the whole point of this. You go with what you feel is right, with your gut instinct, and you get to the point where something actually happens and materializes. So these are the pictures of the animals that I used. If you ever decide on approaching this method and using animals, and by using animals I don't mean, you know what I mean. I don't need to do that. I have women locked up in my basement for that. So if you ever do decide to approach that, Google Images has pretty much every single picture of everything you could ever want out there. Or if not, I mean, I'm sure you can find like some biology-related websites or, you know, animals. The internet is full of shit. I don't need to tell you where to look for stuff. Google solves most of your problems most of the time. If not, like a high-quality biology atlas is always good. But the deal with this is that animals are so, what's the adjective for it? There's such a variety of them. They're so different. They're so like crazy looking, some of them at least, that it's impossible for you to not come up with at least a semi-decent, acceptable, if not at the very least half-assed creature, if you ever decide to combine various elements from different animals. So the way I approached this was, I took the rhinoceros head. You know what a rhinoceros looks like, I hope. So it has those 2 horns, one bigger and one smaller. And what I did was just keep on going with the horns, because, you know, when you see something like that, like one is bigger, the next one's smaller, obviously there should be some sort of progression there if you're ever to create like a spiky monster, because not all spikes would look the same. So I continued with the spikes all the way up to its head. Then I took its snot and turned it into a sort of a beak-looking thing, because, as I said, I was going to use a turkey in the concept as well. Then a rhinoceros' eyes are really small, so instead of drawing its classic eyes, I used frog eyes. I kind of stayed within the limit of using only 3 animals and combining different elements. So I gave him like bulging eyes, but then I thought, hold on a second, because, you know, there's more I can do here. So after I drew the eye, I started drawing more eyes. I thought like, insect, maybe. I don't know if it would work. But I kept on going anyway, so just threw a bunch of eyes on there randomly. Who knows, maybe it helps the rhino see better. Rhino, it's not really a rhino at this point, more like some sort of alien creature. But that's the whole point. You have to come up with shit that doesn't make sense for humans compared to what you see on a regular basis, like day-to-day life. Oh, this looks like a cat. No, it doesn't look like anything like a cat. It looks like nothing you've ever seen before in your life. That's the whole idea. It has to be original, but at the same time, it has to be somewhat functional, as any concept artist out there is going to tell you. Like, stuff has to sort of make sense. It sort of makes sense. Like, you can't have an animal standing on one leg, because the laws of physics dictate that for it to keep a balance and to, you know, like go about its daily activities, hunting, eating, crapping, fucking, it would have to have some sort of way of maintaining balance. And when you're stuck on one leg, there's kind of a problem there, you know? You don't see people hopping around on one leg a lot in the city. Or I do, actually. I don't know, I probably don't. But I live in Romania, so it doesn't matter. So anyway, I drew the eyes there, and of course, at this time I was thinking like, okay, this I can't like go crazy with turkey legs and shit coming out of its back. It still has to make some sort of sense in a physical sense. I'm saying sense too much here, but it's only to emphasize the fact that you can't make a crazy creature that looks like it's gonna trip over itself and fall at any point, unless that's what you're going for. For example, like my Christmas monster and the previous monster that I drew, those were more out in the realm of sci-fi, like impossible from a physical standpoint, because they were very unstable and not looking like they could move really fast. But that's what I was going for. Here I was looking to actually create a conceptual, somewhat fully functioning monster. So of course, what defines a rhino? It's the head shape, and the horns on its nose, and the ears. I kept the rhino ears because I thought they fit the whole image. Then I gave him eyes, I continued with the horns, and now I'm gonna start implementing items that you find on the other animals. So what defines a turkey? The most defining thing for a turkey is the waddle. So there you can see I'm starting to give him a waddle. And by the way, if you ever find yourself out of pickup lines on a bar, feel free to use this one. What defines a turkey? Guaranteed you'll get laid with this one. Just approach a beautiful young lady and ask her that, and you'll see what happens. It's like fucking magic. It's like that. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. So I gave him a waddle, and yes, I'm fully aware it looks like a pair of saggy old man's balls at this point. But it does not matter. Stuff doesn't have to be beautiful for it to actually be beautiful and functional. Although in this particular case, I'm not exactly sure what function the waddle would have. Probably decorative, who knows? Maybe it's looking for mates, and these creatures that have bigger waddles manage to find mates easier or something like that. Again, I've mentioned this before. Find a story, find a reason for which the creature has what it has. Now, I'm going to draw the body in the shape of somewhat the same shape as a frog's, but I'm going to change the fingers into like clawed fingers, because it makes more sense that this creature would not have. I just didn't want to use too much of one thing. So the arm and skeletal structure and the body shape is somewhat the same as a frog's. If you paid attention to the picture I linked you, kind of the pose is somewhat the same. But I changed a little bit here and there. I made him look like really disturbing and unnatural. Like, this is not supposed to be walking. It's not supposed to exist, you know. It's disturbing, but at the same time, it seems like it could probably hurt you if it caught up to you. So there I'm just emphasizing the spine a bit. I want to make the spine protrude out of its back and not have it completely flat. And I'm just like thinking, coming up with ideas, trying to add more and more to it without cluttering it and making it look retarded. Even though it's kind of subjective. I mean, it does look retarded. It's kind of what's supposed to happen. So it's fun if you have nothing to do, and if you're actually interested in drawing. It's always fun, and it's a good practice for you, the viewer, to try to combine like animals that have nothing to do with each other. Like I did just now. Like, these three animals would have nothing in common, like, ever, in any situation. They don't even grow in the same regions of the planet. So I didn't quite make it easy for myself. I didn't make my bed as easily as I could have. Like, if I chose, I don't know, a rhino, elephant, and, you know, like another massive animal. Yeah, I chose animals of completely different sizes, completely different diets, functions, regions, you name it. Just all in all, absolutely nothing alike. And that makes it for a better challenge. In the end, I think it makes it for a more interesting creature. Like, this guy sort of looks like it would be like a sort of an animal that hangs around fresh water, maybe like in the shallow jungles or of a random alien planet, and probably feeding on like smaller animals or plants, and kind of able to climb trees. You know, it's sort of looks like it would belong in a somewhat natural habitat, obviously not on Earth, but wherever you place your character in. So again, it's a good way to come up with a decent looking creature that really looks like nothing that would give off a sense of familiarity in humans. So that was it for this little demonstration. I hope you enjoyed it. This was just a quick sketch, like it didn't last more than 2 hours. So it wasn't like super detailed. I could have probably drawn like warts and, you know, scratches and cuts and pits, or who knows, maybe extra members on it if I actually took the time. But again, I actually need to sleep tonight, so I could only have time to come up with this. But I think it illustrates in a pretty good way what's possible to do with just a little bit of imagination, really, because that's what art comes down to in every field. And animals and nature in general has been a source of inspiration for every single area of the arts, be it visual, music, anything, poetry, especially poetry. So people constantly have been using it for thousands of years since the dawn of time. And drawing from nature and using nature as a means of expressing oneself in any sort of art form is something that's, we're born with it. It's something that's innate in us. From an early age, you will see children drawing trees, the sun, houses, plants, stuff. Drawing is something that everyone wants to do at an early age, but the instinct gets suppressed as we grow up because we find more interesting things to do. We find, or interesting for some, we have computers, we play with iPads, we play with our little wieners when we hit 13, play with little girls' junk. So the instinct gradually gets suppressed, but some people, of course, rediscover it later on in life. And, you know, we would be lacking a lot of knowledge about our great ancestors in the Stone Age and Iron Age if it wasn't for people actually wanting to express themselves through the visual arts, like cave drawings and you know, writing. Writing was a form of drawing at the very beginning. Look at the hieroglyphs. That's not really writing, it's more like drawing than anything. So people have this desire, like really burning desire, I would say at this point, to express themselves through the visual arts, and using nature as a way in the modern time to come up with something that allows you to freely express yourself without any sort of lie, like you do in day-to-day speech, for example. You don't need to lie to anyone when you express yourself through different means, such as drawing or painting. And it's really a great thing. So, yeah, I'm gonna stop ranting now. Anyway, this is the monster. It looks disgusting and it's nasty, but it also is a good example of what I was trying to talk about in this video. So, please rate it if you liked it. The video, that is, not the monster. And I will see you for my next videos, whenever they may be. Thanks again. Have a good day. Bye-bye.